Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
These are tough times for all of us, not just a few. Let's all pull together, do our part, and like the cat with the rope, hold on to the knot as long as we can. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot. Calling in with our Pledge of Allegiance. Come on, Patriots. Good morning on a Monday. And a good morning to you and yours, Zeb at the Ranch. And I tell you what, folks, it's going to be, I think, a better week. Let's all pray together that it gets better for all of us, all of us. Our major sponsor, of course, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, really involved in a big spring tire sale. You better stop in and see them today. And don't forget, too, also, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And our friends at Greystone Crossing Senior Living, 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, let's go and start things off right with the Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I apologize. Yep, you're welcome. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, now let's head for the weather forecast. And the weather brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn. Oh, hello, Roger and the crew. They've got all the tools that you need and all the equipment to get ready for spring. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that a little later on. I did something, I think, before most people yesterday, so we'll check about that. Hey, they've got all the power rakes, all the garden and lawn equipment. They've got all the rototillers. They've got everything over there at K&R Rental for you. Not sure what you need? Well, give them a call on the line, 678-3122, K&R Rental. And right now, here's the weather.
Getting ready to kick off another work week, and here's a look at your weather forecast today. We are expecting partly to mostly sunny skies, at least until the afternoon. Increasing clouds, a little bit of a breeze, and a 20% chance of rain showers. High of 57 tonight. That rain could possibly turn into snow showers in the overnight hours. Mostly cloudy skies with a low of 35. By tomorrow, 20% chance of afternoon showers. Partly sunny skies with a high of 50. Mostly cloudy for tomorrow night with a low right around 29 by Wednesday. Possibly rain and snow showers mixed. Gusts of wind as high as 18 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 48. Then by Thursday, 20% chance of rain and or snow. Partly sunny, high of 46. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, my. Springtime in the Magic Valley. Good morning. Thanks, Gina, for the weather forecast. And, of course, brought to you by K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn. You can't miss them. I mean, they're right there on the Burley-Paul Highway, and they do have all the rental tools and equipment for both long and short term. Not sure what you need? Like I said, call Roger and the crew, and they'll answer your questions. 678-3122, K&R Rental. Want to also give a great big shout out to Daryl's Cleaners. You know, you just feel good when your clothes look good and your clothes feel good. Well, by golly, take all your clothing in there to be dry cleaned. And if you don't have time to do the washing of your clothes, don't forget they will wash, dry, fold, and iron all your clothes just like Mama used to. Well, you better stop in and see Kevin and Cindy today at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. And I'm talking about my friends. They have been for a long time. Daryl's Cleaners in Burley. You stop in and see them this morning. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Deb. You know, this morning at 7 o'clock, my wife and I were over to Smith's to get our groceries. The line was, of course, this is where only elderly people, or let's just say people of middle age or older, they're lined up clear to the east end of the building. But it was a very orderly thing. You see a lot of people you know, and everything is really quite smooth. And then we get in the store, and the shopping carts. Oh, what an experience. You know, some of these people don't drive real well on the road, but when they get in the store, it's a little different deal.
Well, I want to just, I'm not gonna beleaguer this point other than just saying that kudos and hats off to a lot of these stores that understood that our seniors right now being the most susceptible for the coronavirus, and opening up early morning hours to get basically the seniors a first shot, if you will, at getting the produce and the products that they need. And I'm not going to mention names. I'm just going to say thank you to all the grocery stores that have taken the initiative to say, seniors, we appreciate you and love you, and this is what we're going to provide for you.
It was a wonderful transition. I am proud to be a citizen of Burley, Idaho.
Absolutely.
These people were great.
Absolutely. I certainly hope you and Nancy are doing well now that you're back from the warmer climes of Las Vegas. But it's good to hear from you this morning to kick things off, Keith. God bless you, man. Thank you so much.
You bet.
All right, buddy. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric. Hello, Ramsey's. They're already there. I mean, hey, they get there at 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Ramsey Heating and Electric for literally all. Simple little three-letter word, but it means so much. All your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. And the knowledge and the people to get the job done. And the expertise for almost 7 decades. They are the best, and that's a fact. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The number to call, 678-0459. Again, open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. Ramsey Heating and Electric. I'm going to be saying some things this morning, and I want you, the audience, to kind of chime in and help me a little bit on various parts of the subject matter. And I'm going to say this. Last week, I had many callers in support of waiting the 15 days, which will be up next week, to hunker down, stay home, do whatever necessary to slow down the coronavirus. Okay? Deanna and I have done that. I haven't turned the key on the ignition of my pickup for over a week and a half. But there are some that wanted to keep on with daily activities, and we had some arguments last week, right here on the air. I hope that we're still friends. I honestly hope and pray that we're still friends. And I'm going to say this out of respect for their attitude and opinion, and for others' attitude and opinion. If at the end of this next 7 days, which of course is we're day 8 right now, next 7 days, the administration has said, yeah, we're going to take a look at it and maybe go back to being somewhat of a normalcy situation. If at the end of the next 7 days the virus is not slowed or there is no conclusive evidence to show it is slowing down, my attitude for getting back to work, getting back to doing a normalcy in life, absolutely is going to change. How is it going to change? I absolutely, I use that word many times, absolutely, and I mean that, respect the people that called in last week and said, our economy is going down the drain, our businesses are going down the drain, this is suffering, that's suffering, and I understand that. All of us, my wife and I included, are suffering because of the cutbacks, the slowdowns, and the stoppages. As I said a moment ago, I think we have to play our hand out for another 7 days. And then take a good look as to the risk factors on both sides of the nickel before it hits the floor. Your thoughts. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Denny's Restaurant, and that is a wonderful place to eat. And don't forget they've got takeout, too. You call, and they'll have everything all boxed up and ready for you at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. Let me tell you. And another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, anytime, all the time, all the desserts, great people serving you. And like I said, call ahead, and they'll have your takeout ready at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. And believe me, it's true. They are America's Diner. Really, really nice people. Calls, I'm surprised people aren't calling in over this, because I know there are many mixed emotions as to how much longer we can hold out on these situations that have been cast upon us. And believe me, after a weekend full of thoughts and prayers and conversations with other business owners, it's going to be a little testy after the next 7 days to see how much longer we can hold off resuming natural life and natural lifestyles. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again. You know, President Trump is doing as good a job as anybody could do under the circumstances. But, you know, they had a plan all figured out, how we could help the people who are going to be without work and that sort of thing. And Nancy Pelosi said, oh, wait a minute. Let's listen to my plan.
Yeah.
She doesn't have a plan.
Not yet.
Where do we go from there, Zeb?
Well, we don't go there at all. I'm sick and tired of Congress playing games, and I'm talking about both sides of the aisles. Right now, whether it's Republican or Democrat, shame on them, and I'm going to use a phrase that, quite frankly, a lot of people might be offended by. Damn them for not getting this bill through as to somewhat of a stimulus bill for businesses, small business owners, etc. They've got to sit down and just forget about party differences and say, okay, this is what's good for the American public, this is what's good for the American economy, and get it done. I absolutely have no use, none, for the partisan politics that's going on right now while people are suffering.
I couldn't have said it better myself, but this idea that Nancy Pelosi, it's strictly political. Doggone it, let's knock off the political crap and let's get to helping America get back on its feet.
You know, I'm going to be talking later on this morning to a very good friend of mine and yours, and that's Representative Fred Woods. And at 10:30 this morning, we're going to kind of have a recap over what took place up in Boise at the Idaho legislative session and everything. And it almost seems to me like even members of the Republican Party are at odds or at ill will against other members of the Republican Party, and common sense, and nobody wants to stand up and fight for the same issues. It just seems like like the fragmentation of politics today, it's enough to make me get ill without the coronavirus. And it's about high time that these clowns that are looking for a circus wearing a three-piece suit and wingtip shoes that we've hired to go back and represent us do their job, shut up, and listen to their constituents.
Well, we the people out here that are depending on these people, we're the ones that are going to suffer because of it.
That's absolutely true.
They could not get along.
That's absolutely true. I was very, I mean this when I say this, Keith, that at the end of the legislative session for our state, I was very proud of many of our legislators to whom I called and I issued a big thank you for a job well done. I cannot and will not say that on a national level.
Well, in looking at the map that they show every once in a while, Idaho seems to be doing better than all the other states. Have you noticed that?
Well, yeah, but I'm not going to go there. Believe me, anything can change at the drop of a hat, and we could see more people coming down ill in a certain respective area. I mean, God's maybe blessed us to where we don't have the cases, and we certainly haven't had the deaths, and that's a blessing. But to those other states that are really suffering right now, be it even California, Washington, New York, etc., my heart goes out to those people. And I certainly hope that it can be curtailed. Keith, you can hear the cow. I got another call. Appreciate your call. Thank you.
All respect one another.
Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Bye.
Caller, I'll be right there. I got to pay some bills, and I'll do that real quick. I want to remind everybody about Dino Septic Service. Oh, yeah, that time of the year. That time of the year. And maybe you need to have your septic tank pumped. Ooh, you don't want to do it. I don't blame you. Maybe you need some liquid waste removal or sewer and sink drain lines cleaned, or maybe water and sewer lines installed. Well, they've got an excellent backhoe service. Actually, I'll tell you what, these folks, they really provide a service to all of us. Dino Septic Service, and the numbers to call, 436-6526 or 678-1638. I mean, fast, fair, friendly service. Dino Septic Service with that big truck that says Smells Cargo on the way to serve you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
I agree with you and Keith, but one thing these politicians need to realize, they are employees of the American people.
I just said that.
They're not back there to enrich themselves and make themselves all high and mighty. And it is time for the American people to fire the politicians that do not work for them.
You know, there's nothing more ridiculous. There is nothing more childish. There is nothing more insane when you have what's purported to be a national crisis, and you have Chuck Schumer and others standing up along with the Republicans and others and arbitrating between each other like a bunch of spoiled kids that there wasn't enough lollipops to pass around, and so they're all going to cry and go wah, wah, wah.
Exactly. It's exactly it. And Newt Gingrich said it best this morning when he said that Pelosi and Schumer are trying to blackmail Trump on this deal. It's been Democrats and Republicans and committees getting this thing together to help the American people and help businesses keep the employees employed. And it is Chuck and Nancy that are throwing a monkey wrench in it, and Chuck and Nancy need to be held accountable.
How can, and Doug, answer this, I got another call you heard call in, but how can anyone put their head on the pillow at night knowing that with the suffering going on, not just because of the coronavirus per se and the sickness perhaps, but also for the financial devastation? I mean, I've talked to so many business owners, like myself, over the last couple of days, and we're all hurting. We're all seeing severe cutbacks. We're all trying to figure out how the bottom line is going to get to the bottom line. And you're no different. You're a small business owner. owner, and to have these three-piece suits, wingtip shoes, stand up there and arbitrate with each other and basically waste time in argumentative efforts that don't mean a hill of beans, these people are stupid.
Yeah, and they have no conscience. Evil has no conscience. When you just think of yourself and you think of enriching yourself, you think of yourself and power, you have no conscience.
Yeah.
Get back. And Nancy Pelosi has said she's a Catholic and she prays every day. Well, Nancy Pelosi needs to take a long look in the mirror on who she's praying to and what she's trying to do.
Well, I'll tell you something, Doug. This is a situation right now where we're wasting time. Let's just get it done, what's best for the American people. And I do not care about Mitch McConnell. I do not care about Chuck Schumer. I do not care about anybody on either side of the aisle. Get it done now.
Exactly. If a company had employees working for them like these politicians do, work for us, they'd been fired a long time ago.
Amen.
It's time for the American people to take their government back.
Amen. Good. Well said. Go ahead, give us your 10-second spiel, and then I'll take my next caller.
All righty. Let's support our senior centers the best we can. I'd like to say go there and eat, and you'll leave with a full tummy and a full heart. But in this time, let's just donate monetarily or offer to pay for some Meals on Wheels for some people that are homebound.
Absolutely well stated, Doug. Hey, God bless you, man. Thanks much. Appreciate it. Caller number 2, you're on the air. I'll take your call before I give away some cookies. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Zeb. Well, you have to realize they don't give a rip about any of us. All they want is their agenda is to destroy this country, and they're succeeding. And unfortunately, Pelosi and Schumer and company, if they don't get their abortion funding in the bill and all this other stuff that they've been trying to sneak in there, they've been fighting against the American people, all of the Trump administration, and nothing has worked. But now the destruction of the American economy is, and they're cheering about it on the mainstream media. They think it's a great thing. It's unbelievable.
Well, I'll go, whoa. Adrian, give me a shot here. Give me a shot. I want to throw an idea at you. All the time these clowns standing up there, and that's what they've become, whether it's Pelosi or Schumer, or I'm even going to mention Mitch McConnell on this situation. They've lost touch with the American people. I think, and I'll throw this idea at you. I thought about it last night. I think there ought to be a big video screen put up in the Senate and a big video screen put up in the House. And people like you and me and others can go like to Boise. We can go to a big network hookup up in Boise. And we can have the opportunity to tell these clowns while they're in session really what we feel, and they got to sit there and watch us tell them what we want. I'm sick and tired of the distancing between Washington, D.C. and the population of the United States.
Well, it is a swamp, and it's both the Republicans and Democrats are swamp creatures, and they really are. And we've got a lot of... In this state, Zeb, you can't hardly get elected unless you're, got a big R behind your name. We've got a lot of Republicans that are, should have a D behind their name in the state legislature. And, of course, they, along with some of the neocons, they get rid of the real conservative people, the people that uphold the Constitution. What it really boils down to, these people all take an oath, Zeb, to uphold the U.S. Constitution. And their spending is just totally, foreign aid and all of this kind of stuff is not in the Constitution. There's nothing for federal aid to education. We need to bring back education back to the state of Idaho and so forth. But, they don't care about us. They care about their power. And this is what it's all about.
I agree.
I'm sorry, they're using this virus. When we have flu, over 6-month period, last year, not last year's flu season, 34,000 people died. That's 187 people a day died. And yet we've only got a little over 200 nationwide that have died. That's about the the amount that die every day of the flu. I mean, we're using an atomic bomb to kill an ant.
I got to run right now. Adrian, listen to Zeb, please. I've got to run. We're overdue. I told you I'd only have a couple of minutes, and I got a break at the bottom of the hour. I've got to take care of it. Your argument is well-founded and well-stated, and I'm going to continue with that in just a few minutes. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I may want to call back. I've got a couple of things.
All right. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Calls will be welcome in just a few moments, but right now I'm going to give away some cookies, and that's, of course, the Sophie's Chatterbox. I'm telling you, we need to support all of our businesses here, and I'll tell you, they've got a great restaurant, and wow. What a bakery. Cookies, pies, cakes, wedding cakes, you name it. Oh, my goodness, it's all delicious. If you win the trivia question, you're going to, of course, win a dozen cookies from Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. And here's the question. You probably will get this right away, all right? In the movie, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, what song became enormously popular when Paul Newman rode the bike in the movie? And what was the name of the song? And who was the name of the artist that sang the song in the movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid? Holy moly, that was quick. Good morning. You're on the air.
Well, I think I have the name. I don't know if I remember the artist, but it was Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head, wasn't it?
Well, I'm not going to say too much unless you've got the name of the artist.
Let's see. Let me think here. It was, what was that guy's name?
You better oil that brain because the wheels are starting to turn up smoke.
Matt, let's see.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to tell you thank you for your call, but you didn't get the entirety of the question answered. Thank you. God bless you, man. Have a good day. Thank you. Once again, in the movie, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, what song became enormously popular when Paul Newman, was riding around on the bike? What was the name of the song, and who was the artist that sang that song? It made him a multi-millionaire. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head, and B.J. Thomas was the singer.
I think I know who this is. Donna Mass, how are you?
I am good. How are you this morning?
You just won the cookies, and the rule is that if you like sugar cookies without frosting, that's my favorite. You got to get half the dozen to me.
That'll work. It's better on your side than mine.
Hey, thanks so much, Donna. God bless you. It was Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head, B.J. Thomas. Thank you so much. Wonderful lady. Hey, don't forget Magic Valley Irrigation at 44 East, 500 South of Burley. Oh, Jeff and the crew, they're looking forward to another good year helping you with your irrigation needs. And they appreciate all the business that they've had, and they look forward to serving you this year. They furnish all the U-bends, the handline risers, Healy arc welding, pumps, manufacturing wheel line elbows, and much, much more. Jeff knows, and his crew are really good at serving you. Call them at 678-3101. Magic Valley Irrigation. Really, really good folks. All right, calls are welcome. 436-2244. 1-866-927-4587. I'm going to say something else, and if there's somebody that takes disagreement with this, I don't care. I'm not into political correctness. I'm not into sheltering words that when you try to say the truth, people say, oh, you can't say that. You might hurt somebody's feelings. I don't care about people's feelings when it comes to the truth. And I'm talking about China. And I'm talking about these nitwits in the news media and other places, and even a few right here in Magic Valley, that said, oh, well, it's bigoted and hate-mongerish if we say anything, why, the Chinese flu. Well, it could have happened someplace else. No, it happened. It came out of Wuhan, China. The Chinese tried to cover it up. It became a bigger disaster than they had anticipated, and they let it go. And the whole blame on this thing goes to China. And now of my animosity towards China. They are trying to hold back on medications. They're trying to hold back on medical equipment. I do not like China. I am very mad at China. We all should be very mad at China. And if somebody out there is a protectionist for China, how dare you? Over and above the United States. This communist, not caring for humanity country, China, and that's what it is, was the cause of this pandemic. You want to prove me wrong? Prove me wrong. I don't think you can. I'm not worried about it. And the attitude towards helping the world is absolutely ridiculous. They're not doing anything to really come out and say, boy, we've got to get this, we've got to gather up this, we've got to supply you with this, we've got these medications, we've got these antibiotics, we've got all these masks, we've got everything else. No. All they want, and I mean this, they want complete global power and control. They want dominance. And for you naysayers out there, we're all one big world happy family. No, we're not. We have countries that would love to use this pandemic or this situation to empower them with more control. Iran, China, Russia. Prove me wrong. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. My audience, I'm so proud of you folks. You call and voice your opinions, and I'd like to hear from you right now. Please give me a call. While I'm waiting, I'll tell you this about Barry Equipment and Rental. Sales, service, and parts. The best of equipment you need for lifting, digging, pushing, carrying, grading, leveling. I mean, whatever the job, they got the big dudes, and they got the little dudes too. They've got all the Doosan wheel loaders and excavators, all the Bobcats in every shape and size, and of course don't forget they got a brand new inventory going into this year. You better check it out today. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Nampa location for the best Barry Equipment and Rental. Get a hold of them today. All right, get a hold of me today. Love to hear from you. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. As much as has been canceled, there are many events that you may not be aware of that are going on or have been on over this last weekend and prior to that. There are a lot of events that involved taking tickets and people going in and enjoying themselves at various functions. Not everything is shut down. And one event that happened this last weekend, a spokesman for the event just simply on television said, "We live in a free society. We live in a country where Americans take risk and they take life and they evaluate how they want to live their lives. We opened up the ticket offices, and for those that wanted to come and be a part of this event, we sold them a ticket." And I think that probably is a good attitude to take. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. Is it my turn?
Well, I hope so, because I'm talking to you.
They have a new deal at the Burley Senior Centers. You can't come in and have lunch anymore, but if you drive up to the sidewalk, they'll come out and take your order, and you can have your ticket punch to pay your money. They'll run in and bring one right out to you. You don't even have to get out of the car.
Wow.
Today we're having breakfast burritos, hash browns, and fruit, and some kind of yummy dessert.
So basically, Joe, real quick at the...
Drive up and tell them what to...
okay. So... All right, Joe, I want to just quickly get this in. So basically at the Senior Center on Overland, it's to where if they'll call, you'll provide curbside service to give their food out to their car, right?
Yes.
All right, sir. We'll send everybody over.
All you do for us.
All right, my friend. Thank you very much. We had a real scratchy phone there, and I was having a hard time hearing him. But that was my buddy Joe Taylor, and somebody that knows Joe might tell him that phone really, really scratchy. It's not at the station. It's, I think, on his cell phone. But they're providing a curbside service, and I urge you to support the Senior Center. I mean, for $5, you're getting great, great food. And just call and then drive up, and they'll run right out the door with your goodies. So it sounds like a good deal. All right, you please give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know what I think is wrong about this whole thing with the coronavirus is, and we touched on it earlier, the partisan politics, the ridiculous partisan politics. You know, it is so easy when you're not in power and you're not making the decisions to sit back and play Monday morning armchair quarterback and say, well, this should have been done. That should have been done. Oh, well, I don't agree with this and all this. That's exactly what Joe Biden is doing right now. And he's doing something else that I find indefensible. And it's going to, I hope, alienate him from the American voting public. He is starting his own coronavirus briefings. In other words, he claims that he has a group of experts that are better than what the president has, better than what the information provided to the president is, and he's going to start his own coronavirus briefings. And I think this is wrong, trying to supersede and go behind our president. What are your thoughts? Give me a call, 436-2244. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, good morning again, Mr. Bell.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, Joe Biden needs to go to a home. He's totally out of it. He has no idea what's going on. And these dadgum Democrats who stopped the stimulus bill, how many little mom-and-pop businesses are going to be bankrupt because of this crap that's going around? People need to use common sense. Don't go out. Don't send your kids to spring break. Don't send your kids to the bowling alley or the movie theaters. It just, I can't, I'm trying to bite my tongue because I am so mad about this stuff that's going around. We could have stopped it a month ago. We don't even know when it first started for sure.
Well, my animus and just outright hatred for the way this thing was allowed to grow, fester, and encroach upon the public all across the world is aimed right at one country. Like I said earlier, China. I'm not going to mince any words. I hold them in complete contempt, and also I hold them, in effect, the culprit that created this problem. And for someone to gloss over it and say, well, we shouldn't say that because that might hurt their feelings, Donna, I couldn't care less.
Oh, I don't either. They can all, drop off the end of the ocean. I don't care. You're right. They're the ones that started this. And, the Democrats are so intent on bashing Trump and getting him out of office. They're condemning him for not doing enough soon enough. Nancy Pelosi knew about this before the president did.
Yeah. To go to your point... though, of your call, and I really I applaud you for that. To go to the point of your call of the politicization of this event, the coronavirus, and the onslaught around the American public, and for that matter, the world, to politicize it and try to make political gain is as low as buffalo dung, as far as I'm concerned. I have no use for people that would politicize a very dangerous situation.
Oh, no, that's exactly the point. We've canceled all of our events for this year.
I know.
We have I've had calls, and it's like, well, why are you canceling? It's like, because I'm doing what we're told.
Yeah.
I, for one, can't afford to be sick. You, for another person, cannot be sick. We have those underlying issues, health issues that they're all talking about.
Yeah.
But nobody seems to give a dang.
Well, and therein is another good point for elaboration. I had somebody last week say something to me that honestly I wanted to play AT&T and reach out and touch the end of their nose. They said, "Well, it's not affecting you and your radio program," and I thought that has to be one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. We have lost money. Lots of advertising money. I have a heart condition. I'm not going to be closed about it. I'm going to be very open. I'm one of the underlying conditioned people that are susceptible. I'm also 72 years of age. So when this yo-yo that the string broke said that it has nothing to do and you're not affected by it, you got to wonder how dumb they are and what school they graduated from.
Well, you're right. And that's why we're in the position that we're in, because of people like that. It's like I tell people, this is going to keep going on because there's stupid people out there who don't, it's not affecting them, so they don't give a rat's poop.
Yeah. No, we're in a situation. Go ahead. I'm sorry, there was a delay there, Donna. I apologize.
Oh, I'm just so frustrated because I can't even take my little great grandson, and I've always set Wednesdays aside for our day together.
Yeah.
Because he has an underlying heart. He's had 2 major open heart surgeries.
Yes.
And he's only 14 months old.
Yes.
So why would I endanger him just so that I could spend? No. I'm going to stay at home. I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. And hopefully, before too much longer, China will pull their heads out of their butts and do what's right. And I doubt they're going to, because I'm right there with you. I can't stand China. They don't like us. They never have. They never will. So what better way to get rid of another civilization than to spread a deadly disease?
Well, I appreciate your call, as I always do. And to that little one, that 14-month-old grandchild, our thoughts and prayers. And also to you and everyone else. Thanks, Donna. God bless you.
Thank you. You guys stay safe.
Thank you very much. There are bright spots that are out there on the horizon. There are. And I'm going to point my finger at the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, and medical science, and doctors that have the power to say yes or no. But they have found, I think the tests are fairly conclusive to the point where on testing, the malaria drug that has been used for many, 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 many years is been shown to stop and slow down the coronavirus in its tracks and disassemble the virus, to where these people that have been taking this shot have shown that within about 5 or 6 days, it's gone. There needs to be a full court press. I mean, I don't care what the price tag is. I mean, I don't care who you have to grab by the nape of the neck, scientists, doctors, etc., to study this, get it taken care of, and get the ball rolling. And no more political garbage. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again. Our grocery stores and a few other essentially places like that has to be open because we have to eat and everything. But this auction, this community auction that was done on Saturday, that isn't something that I thought was appropriate.
No, I disagree with you. It was outdoors, and I will stand and I will fight for their putting the auction on. I think that anything outdoors like that, I would weigh the opportunities and the negativities, and I would back what they did. I think it was something that was set up, and it was outdoors. Had it been in a building, it would have been an entirely different circumstance. I disagree with you.
Well, you brought out a point there that I didn't even think about, it being an open air.
Yep.
And so it probably was appropriate, but we're asking other people to to not do that.
I know, Keith, but, I'm kind of twixt and tween on this, and I've got to do a weather forecast, but I'm going to say this. I look forward to the next 7 days. I'm going to adhere to the 15-day limit of going out and being in the public. I'm going to do what they say. But I said earlier, if you were listening, after this next 7 days, I'm going to look at my whole card. I'm going to look at my business. I'm going to look at the deterioration of my business, and I'm going to make the decision as to whether to stay home or not. Keith, I appreciate your comments. Thank you very much for your call. Appreciate it.
If your advertisers are not going to stay with you, I will pay you to be on the air.
I'll be over for a check, buddy. Thanks. Hey, got to run. I'm late on the weather. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Caller, stay there. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. I'll be right there with you. I got to get the weather forecast on quickly with our friends at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room. And the number you need to remember, write it in big black letters, numbers on your refrigerator, 312-0957. 312-0957. You call for an expert diagnostic test on your hearing, especially if you notice that you're having a diminishment of your hearing. They can and will help you at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Getting ready to kick off another work week, and here's a look at your weather forecast today. We are expecting partly to mostly sunny skies, at least until the afternoon. Increasing clouds, a little bit of a breeze, and a 20% chance of rain showers. High of 57 tonight. That rain could possibly turn into snow showers in the overnight hours. Mostly cloudy skies with a low of 35. By tomorrow, 20% chance of afternoon showers. Partly sunny skies with a high of 50. Mostly cloudy for tomorrow night with a low right around 29 by Wednesday. Possibly rain and snow showers mixed. Gusts of wind as high as 18 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 48. Then by Thursday, 20% chance of rain and or snow. Partly sunny, high of 46. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zebit Rain.
Oh, thank you, Gina. 36 degrees outside the ranch studio, and we want to say a big thank you again to Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids for all they do for your hearing health. Call them today for an appointment, 312-0957. Caller, you've been very patient. Go ahead quickly. I've only got a limited time.
In short, Dad, a lot of the problems we're facing today and in the past could have been fine-tuned out of the problems we've got if we would have just gone ahead and enforced our strict immigration rules coming into this country in the past decade.
I agree. And it's almost like still on the southern border that the horses already left the barn months and years ago, but then all of a sudden somebody gets the bright idea to shut the gate now. It's absolutely ridiculous and insane that we don't have a National Guard closure of the border all along our southern border, and absolutely nobody comes in.
It has to turn into that, Zeb, and it's just so late in the game, but it comes to a point that you got to put your foot down.
Well, we need to not only put one foot down, we need to put both feet down and stomp and say, that's it, it's enough. The protection of our families, the protection of our businesses, the protection of our economy, the protection for our future. We need to stop this now and no more politics. Shut up, go sit in the corner, and this is what's got to be done.
Absolutely right, Zeb.
Earl, God bless you up on the mountain this morning. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate your call. Thank you.
Anytime.
All right, take care. Thank you. I want to mention our major sponsor, and that's your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, and all 7 locations involved in a great big spring tire sale. Right? Oh, you can save money and get the safe driving tires you need at any one of the 7 locations. I mean, all the tread designs, all the sizes for your cars, pickups, SUVs, horse trailers, boat trailers, everything. And they've all really been so diligent to make sure sure that their lounge area is very clean and ready for you and your family to come in, get your tires, etc. They care. They care about you. They care about your business. So please stop in and see them today. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike in Buell, Mike in Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. The best, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. Let's see. What have we got cooking next hour? Don't miss the segment coming up this next half hour with Rick Manning. Here is a man that has worked personally with President Trump. He knows President Trump. He knows what's going on in the ins and outs of politics and partisan politics back in Washington, D.C. in the swamp. And I look forward to having him on the air this morning at 9:06. And then Frosty Woldridge, one of the top nationwide authorities on what's going on with illegal immigration and immigration in general into this country at 9:30. Then at 10:06 this morning, we've got a gentleman coming on by the name of Jason Van Camp that's going to talk about a book called Deliberate Discomfort. It's going to be really interesting. And then at 10:30, we've got Representative Fred Wood. So all of these great folks coming on the program in the next couple of hours. I urge you to stay tuned. We always appreciate your great telephone calls and your thoughts right here at Zeb at the Ranch. And right now, my itty-bitty buddy over at the main studios is, I hope he always stays healthy. He does a great job. Wheels is going to take us up to news from CBS. Welcome back. Hour number 2, Zev at the Ranch on a Monday, March 23rd. And God's blessings to you and your family. Stay healthy out there. We are brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with a great big spring tire sale going on right now. And also Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And our friends at Greystone Crossing Senior Living. What a beautiful place at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, Wheels, this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at the Georgia Soul. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at Georgia Soul. Western Waste Services.
They are always at our disposal, and I'll tell you what, last week, as a matter of fact, I lived up to what I said I was going to do. I called them and I ordered a dumpster to be brought out to my place, and it's been fun pitching and throwing and cleaning up. I'll tell you what, it's really handy. All you got to do is call them, they'll drop one by, you fill it up, they'll come and get it. It's so easy. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them 734-6969. Want to also give a great big shout out right now to the best, and they are Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. I missed my appointment last week, and boy, it helps every time I go in there. Nick and the rest of the crew, all the excellent physical therapists really know how to help you, whether it's recouping from a surgery or an accident or, any injury whatsoever. They want you to get back to being you. All you got to do is call the number 678-1191. They're located at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. The best, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. I just use that term, the best, and when I say that, it's also very applicable to this next man on my program, because I have the highest regard and respect for his attitude and opinion, and also his knowledge as to what's really going on behind the curtain in politics in many, many situations. And he's the president of Americans for Limited Government and co-author of the great book, Necessary Noise. Good morning, Rick Manning. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well, Zeb. How are you?
I'm great, and I certainly hope you, your family, and all your friends and your associates stay that way in this time of uncertainty, and that's what I wanted you to comment on this morning, quite frankly. I think that you and your expertise and knowledge, you can kind of give us a thumbnail sketch. I am willing to wait another 7 days, which would fulfill the 15-day period that Trump said we should just kind of lay low, stay at home, see if they can't flatten the curve on this virus. But I'm going to be honest with you, Rick, and you can chastise me if you will. After the end of this next 7 days, for my business, my associations, and everything that I do, I've got to look at getting back into the swing of things. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think this next 7 days is going to get a lot worse. And it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. And I'm in a precarious position in that it's very difficult for me to sit there and say the government spending $1.8 trillion is a good idea. It's counterintuitive. In fact, it's counter everything I've ever believed. I happen to think that in this particular instance, when the government effectively shuts down the economy because of a concern about millions of Americans dying from a virus, and that's the scope that we're talking about. We're talking about potentially more people dying in America than have died in all of our wars combined. And so the question becomes, if you're going to stall the economy deliberately, what do you do to make it so this isn't a 10-year depression you've created? And the package that the Senate has does, in fact, create a safety net so a small business can take a loan, and so long as they don't, a very low interest rate loan, by the way, as long as they do not lay off anybody, they then will be able to, that loan will essentially be wiped out. That loan will be wiped away by the government. And so it's really just providing businesses with a capacity to keep people off the unemployment rate, off the unemployment rolls, keep people connected to the business, and with the objective of when we're on the backside of this curve, going back to normal, and having those businesses being able to restart and have us be able to go back to living. I don't know when that timeline is, Seb. I don't know when that timeline is, but we're on the front end of this curve, and it's hard to see, but what we're looking at in New York State right now is likely what we're going to see all across the nation, given this virus, and given the fact that we look at the China situation, they've lied. They flat out lied. There are people are saying that there's 5 million dead in China from this at this juncture. So it's a different circumstance. Hopefully by staying in place, we will minimize the number of deaths, and we will be able to keep people get sick, but they don't die, and be able to make it so this thing is somewhat contained because of lack of contact with individuals. And if we get lucky, it doesn't survive the sun, doesn't survive the warmer weather of summer. And that's those are things we have to get lucky though for that to happen. We don't know what that effect is. So right now, I'm kind of buying what they're selling because, and I'll just give you a simple reason. Donald Trump was going to win re-election. He had an economy that's roaring ahead. He had everything was saying Donald Trump's going to win. He's going to win overwhelmingly. And this virus and the government reaction to the virus was exactly opposite of what President Trump needed to be able to win re-election based on the old paradigm. Now, he might win re-election anyway, but from a political standpoint, this is a disaster for President Trump, or at least a possible disaster for President Trump. And so there's no reason why the president would have engaged in this from a political perspective unless he believed the threat was real. And if he believes the threat was real with the knowledge and with the intel that he gets, I'm gonna just have to believe him.
Okay, Rick, now let's kind of nail down some of the loose boards here that we kind of skirted around a little bit. Let's talk about Congress. Let's talk about the Senate. Let's talk about the House. Let's talk about partisan politics. And I'm going to have to really bite my lip not to use some cowboy verbiage regarding senators and congressmen that are playing party politics with this situation instead of sitting down at their desk on their very fat behinds in a big soft leather chair and getting the job done for the American people. How would you respond to that?
I think it's despicable that effectively Chuck Schumer negotiated a deal with Mitch McConnell, and Nancy Pelosi said, "No, that's not what we want to do." And so now they're sitting there watching the stock market tank again, all because they are. Nancy Pelosi wants a third bite of the apple in terms of money getting spent the way she wants it spent. Remember, the second, there have been three deals. The first deal was the president came out for $2.6 billion for medical, and the Democrats pushed it to 8.6, and that was, and they passed 8.6 billion. Then there was a deal where Nancy came in and said, we want to do unemployment and really push out a lot more money for unemployment and the like, and that deal got done. And now the side of it, which is basically making it so people can keep their jobs and don't have to go on unemployment, that part of the deal, Nancy Pelosi's now balking at, Chuck Schumer's balking at, and recognize they have in the Senate, Rand Paul tested positive. That means that virtually, probably every senator has been exposed to the coronavirus. Every single one of them has been exposed. And it is likely that you will see others get it in the Senate. And yet you see this callous game being played by the Democrats because they doing stuff that deliberately would tell small businesses, throw people on unemployment. We prefer for people to be on the unemployment rolls than to have them actually maintaining a salary from a business and maybe going and helping out, doing a few things every once in a while, just to keep some things running, or at least know they've got a job to go back to. That's what this is about. Having people know they have a job to go back to, and the fact that the Democrats are playing politics with it is sickening.
Let me ask you this: what can we do? I said earlier this morning, and I was being somewhat facetious but mostly straight up honest, that when they get back in the Senate chambers or the House chambers, they've lost sight of and they've lost hearing of what the American public wants. And I said there ought to be a large screen TV put up in every chamber, and there ought to be a way that we, the public, can sit down in front of a TV camera, look at that camera, and tell the Schumers, tell the Pelosi's, tell the McConnells, and everybody else, this is what we want done. You work for us and get to work or you're fired. You're out of there, dude. We need to have more insight and more voice as to what these clowns are doing back there.
I agree. I agree. I think that if I can answer a simple thing. If I were Mitch McConnell, this is what I would do. Because Mitch McConnell wants to get this package done, this third package done to protect the underlying economy and to make it so it doesn't become the Great Depression. So he wants to get this done. And I would essentially go to my Republican conference and I would say, we're going to get this done. And we need it. And because it's a health emergency, because an emergency has been declared, we are going to use that to say, when the president declares a state of emergency, we only need to have a majority vote in the Senate to get something done. And I would wipe away the filibuster, and for when there's an emergency, in that narrow circumstance, I'd wipe away the filibuster on this bill, and I'd try to get a majority of the votes. Now, recognize that the vote was 47 to 47. So there wasn't a majority in the Senate who supported whatever bill, the bill they had up on Sunday. But, that's what I would do, because you cannot allow a bunch of people playing politics to get in the way of dealing with a real, honest-to-goodness emergency. And the good thing about the package they have that they're looking at, the money is authorized. But if people don't need it, it doesn't get spent. I mean, that's the key to this. This isn't like buying battleships, where you're going to spend the money because you're buying battleships. This is money just that's put into place, so if it's needed, it's there, and Congress doesn't have to act. That's what this is, and hopefully this crisis will be short-lived, and we won't need that much money, and our economy returns to somewhat normal in a very few short weeks. But this is designed to make it so there's a protection in the event of that this continues on, and anticipates that. So they need to pass it. They need to get done. I don't like a lot of it, but I can't let little things get in the way of the overall mission. And so we need to pass the bill.
One other of the boards that need to be nailed down in our verbiage here this morning, and that's China. I think that we talked about it, but I want more of a final thought from you on this. I will not back up on my thoughts and my verbiage about China, how much I absolutely am disgusted to the nth degree with how they've handled this situation, how they've treated the world, how they have threatened us, the United States, of withholding of antibiotics and other medical supplies. There has got to be some kind of a attitude or some kind of a juncture against them for what they've done to the world and also us, the United States. What can we do about a country that is so inhumane and not caring for humanity, China, that needs to be hauled out on the carpet for what they've done on this coronavirus?
Well, I think very simply, what's happening is we're getting a chance to hit a reset button, and it's sort of like when you reboot your computer. What we're doing, a free enterprise economy, but we're rebooting it. And in rebooting it, we can reboot it in such a way that we aren't dependent upon China anymore. Pharmaceutical products are made here. Things that we need are manufactured here. And that becomes and that will be the emphasis in Trump 2021, is to make certain that we end up making it's made in America, and made in China is verboten. And I think that's the message being sent to industry. It's the message that Americans want. And I think finally Americans are going to look at labels and say, if it's made in China, I don't want it. I don't want to be dependent upon them. That is heard time and again from Democrats and Republicans, and the Chinese have basically lost 20 years of their economic growth, because America is no longer going to depend on China for anything. Mm-hmm. And that's it's going to be some hard times because of that, but I think overall we're going to come out of the other side of this much stronger as a nation. And we just have to survive the short-term pain.
Let me ask you about another situation that I found offensive, but maybe there's something I'm missing, and that's Joe Biden. I heard a story over the weekend, and I did a little research on it, that he is developing his own quote-unquote team of experts on coronavirus. And he is developing a weekly seminar or broadcast as to where he's going to sit down and talk about the coronavirus and what should be done and how, if he were president, it would be done better. I find this very offensive, that using this, the coronavirus, as a ploy to gain the presidency in the Oval Office, I find it disgusting. What are your thoughts?
I can't imagine that the people who are... I can't imagine any presidential candidate doing the same thing. These guys are so out of touch with any semblance of reality that they are thinking this is even close to a good idea. the last thing we need in this country right now is somebody sowing discontent when we're trying to get people to do basic things that they're inconvenient to save people's lives. And Joe Biden's going to get up there and try to undermine the credibility of the president. And it's there's a lot of things. If I were Joe Biden, there's a lot of things I'd try to do, but it would be the president. Nobody's going to care what Joe Biden said. If what the president's doing fails, and he's viewed as a failure, and no matter what Joe Biden says, then Joe Biden would win. And if the president's viewed as being successful in the handling of this crisis, then Joe Biden's not going to win. And, we basically, Donald Trump, when he did this, he changed all the politics, once again, against his own interests, changed all the politics. And and now people are going to judge whether or not Donald Trump did a good job or not. And the fact is, this is one of those things where Donald Trump could do everything right, and the virus could continue to expand, to kill people, and he could end up being blamed for it and lose. So it's a really, Joe Biden doesn't add anything; he only negates this. And I think at a time of war, which this is, it is despicable for an opposition candidate to sit there and backbite the president of the United States.
Rick, I'm down to the last couple of minutes, and I want to ask one more question regarding the current situation. I know that the National Guard possibly is going to be in effect and issued to states like California, your state of New York, and Washington State. What's the overall picture here as to the involvement? There are a lot of people that are saying, oh, my goodness, we're on the edge of martial law, and there's a lot of things that our freedoms and rights are going to be curtailed. Give me a quick thumbnail sketch of what you think about this issuance of the National Guard.
Well, right now they're going to be setting up hospitals. There's they're putting 8 federal hospitals in the state of New York, with creating 2,000 beds. They're creating 4 federal hospitals in California, creating 1,000 beds. And so those things have to be put together. They have to be, essentially built. And they're converting existing structures into those hospitals, so it's not like they're putting up a new building, but a lot of manpower has to go into to doing that. So those are one of the things. They're going to be moving, probably providing some security, and my biggest concern on it is as we get more and more orders that say, you can't congregate and the like, there are already things where law enforcement's been called and broken up meetings and things like that. And my concern is that it gets to that level. But at this juncture, they're basically providing hands and feet and wheels to get medical supplies where they need to be, and to get and to be able to get hospital beds up where they need to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, this man is a straight shooter, and I have the utmost respect for him, the president of Americans for Limited Government, and very, very highly respected man on our show, Rick Manning. God bless you, man. Thanks for being here this morning.
Zeb, God bless. And everybody pray for the country and pray for the president. This is a time unlike any time I've seen.
Amen. Thank you, Rick. Great friend of this program, Rick Manning, and I look forward to every Monday morning having him on this program. Want to also remind you quickly, we've got some things to take care of before we go to Frosty Woldridge. Stand by. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with our dear friend Joel Heward, and along with his family and his staff at Hanson Mortuary. They really care. They care about you and your family. They care about your missing and losing a loved one, and they always provide the families they serve with the best possible support and comfort, and always upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. They care. All you need to do is call 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. And Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. In just a moment, we're going to go to the phone line and have our dear friend in Colorado, Frosty Woldridge, on the program. But before we do that, I want to remind you that Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They've got a showroom full of fun. I have no clue, no idea how they got so many four-wheelers and everything else in that showroom, but it is jam-packed with fun. Great deals over there, And don't forget, too, they're going to have an open house on April 3rd, and if you're getting ready with four-wheelers you already owned, maybe hit the hills this spring and summer, and you need to get them serviced, don't forget they've got an excellent service department for you at Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4. Oh, yeah, Let's Ride, where the fun is sold. Really, really good people. And if you're over in that neck of the woods, do not forget our dear friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance. I got to get a hold of old Todd and talk to him for a little bit. Highway 24 in Rupert. Number to call, 436-4424. I mean, life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, they care about you, your family, and your business, and they're very dedicated and responsive to your needs. Be sure and get a hold of them today. Call the number 436-4424, Cameron and Siemens Insurance in Rupert. Well, on Mondays, we got kind of a double pop right here, if you will, going from Rick Manning right to my next good friend, has been for many, many years, Frosty Woldridge in Golden, Colorado. How are you?
Yes, and good morning, Zeb. And just a big hello to everyone listening this morning. Certainly, we're all in the midst of this national situation, and I just hope that each and every one of you is taking care of yourselves and your families to the best of your abilities and following protocols and so forth, but also hopefully we're all moving forward and moving out of this event as fast as possible.
You know, right there, you gave a great summation, and people, they get out of bed in the morning, and I'll use myself as an example. You try to be optimistic. You try to look forward to your day. You try to look forward to the people that you're going to visit with, the business that you're going to try to consummate, all these things. But right now, everything is kind of overhead as a big dark cloud because you don't know what every day, every hour, every minute is going to bring to you or members of your family. This is a real trying time right now.
Well, it truly is. I actually wrote a piece on, you can go to newswithviews.com or freedomsphoenix.com, and this is no ordinary time in history. And I really try to bring out what we're facing. Essentially, we are living in the 21st century, which has caught us in a time of converging extremes, and I talk about those extremes and what we're facing and how to handle them. You know, and the extremes are human conflict, disease proliferation, economic chaos, human overpopulation, compaction, and I talk about what's going on in China, and I talk about how that's affecting all of us. I hope it brings some clarity to folks. And the biggest thing here is that if you go to my Facebook page, there's a piece that I've uploaded, and it's called 10 Positive Updates on COVID-19 Outbreaks Around the World. And one of the things that is somewhat disconcerting is that we have this 24-hour news cycle, and things get hyped way out of control. You know, and we've heard it before. We've had the Ebola crisis. We MERS. We had that particular influenza. We had the swine flu. I mean, it just goes right on down the line. And the key here is just be commonsensical. Use common sense. Use normal hygiene, and simply be alert at all times. And pay attention to what's going on, and move on from there. That's what we need to do as a country and as a people.
But wait a minute. Stop right there, because you used two words that I think are lacking, severely lacking, in politics, and that's common sense. Here we are, talking about a virus that is sweeping from coast to coast, killing people, making people live in fear, causing economic damage and hardship, and yet we have politics saying, oh, well, let's not close the borders. Let's go ahead and let this thing be open. We have a party that wants illegal aliens coming into this country. We have a party that absolutely wants more people coming into this country. We don't know who they are, what they represent, what their file folder is going to say as far as what they've had for health problems. This is insanity, Frosty. We've got to stop all of it.
I can tell you this, just as a regular American citizen, having watched this, certainly this unbelievable invasion of our country over the last essentially 40 years now, and magnifying and accelerating in the last 20, and still going as strong as it ever has, that the fact is that our Congress, 535 representatives, the senators and the House members, are not going to stop this thing. And it is beyond my understanding as a rational, reasonable man and human being as to what our leaders, our elected representatives, are doing to us. But in the end, they're going to do it to themselves. You know, and in my my article this morning, this is no ordinary time in history. You're sitting there with that frustration. Why aren't they doing something? What I'm seeing right now is I likened it to the movie Thelma and Louise. If you all remember Thelma and Louise, and that was Susan Sarandon and that tall redhead, they were driving a 1966 Ford Thunderbird, and they blew up a tanker. They shot the tanker, blew it up. They got chased by the law, and they had put themselves in so much of a consequences that the law was chasing them down. And in fact, I went to the site where that 66 Thunderbird went right over the cliff. But anyway, they had done so many bad things to themselves that they were being chased, and they came to the cliff, and they stopped just for a second, and they knew they were going to be in prison, and so they just said, well, then we're not going to be in prison. So they accelerated and drove the car over the cliff. I know everyone's probably seen that movie. It was one of the iconic movies of the time because it starred two women. And what we're doing right now is that our Congress, our presidents have not enforced our laws, have not secured our borders, have not enforced the employment laws and stopped the employment of somewhere around 25 million illegal aliens. They haven't stopped the 372,000 anchor babies that were born here last year and that we're paying for. And I mean, this just goes on and on and on. And so what you're seeing is our own leaders, and even President Trump, he wants more immigrants into this country. He wants to fill more jobs. It is ludicrous to me. It is absolutely, totally insane to my understandings why these people in the places that are supposed to protect and defend the U.S. Constitution, the rule of law, are actually accelerating like Thelma and Louise and taking our country over a cliff. And future generations are going to pay for this. They're going to pay in an unbelievably dysfunctional society that is no. And when I wrote this piece, I gave the examples. Italy right now is being overrun by hundreds of thousands of Chinese. They're actually taking over. They're taking over factories. They're moving their people in. They're displacing the Italians. And so Italy's in big trouble. But the same thing's happening in places like British Columbia, there in Vancouver. Vancouver has been taken over by the Chinese. Folks, 65%. And I wrote a piece, and I published it on Facebook, and everybody that has gone over to Vancouver, British Columbia, documented the fact that I was right on the money, that it's literally taken over. 65% of Vancouver is now all Chinese Mandarin. Signage is Chinese, spoken Chinese. They have no affinity to Canada, and they're literally taking over. That's what's happening to us too right now. And you and I have been warning about this and telling you what to do. I mean, I've begged everybody to numbersusa.org or .com should have 100 million Americans to join it to force these congressmen and these senators to secure the borders. But that hasn't happened, and so the invasion continues, and now it's a disease invasion, and I think it's close to 500 deaths, and about 35,000 people have been infected with this COVID-19 virus here in the United States. Worldwide, it's up over 250,000, and well over, I think, 11,000 deaths. I don't know how stupid these people are that are certainly in the White House advising the president, and how stupid the Congress is, but they're really stupid, and you and I, every one of us listening to this broadcast today, we get to be the victims of this thing, and I'm not sure exactly what more we can do, because Lord knows I've been doing everything I've been doing for the last 20 years now.
Well, that goes without saying, and you've not only been on this program, but numerous others, and stating facts for years and years. But here's something I want to enlarge a little bit, and I just got off the phone with a very good friend of mine, Rick Manning, back in New York, and we were talking about this same thing. China. I mean, there are those that are so protectionist of China. Oh, well, you can't say that about China. Oh, well, you can't say that the Wuhan flu came from Wuhan, China. Oh, you can't run down China. Listen, I'm going to call a spade on this program, and if somebody's feelings are hurt, I don't really care, because we need to start speaking the truth. This was a mess, a pandemic mess that started in China because of their ineptness, and it was allowed to flourish because of a very poor, inhumane government. What would you say to me saying what I just said? Are you in agreement or disagreement?
You know, I stand shoulder to shoulder with you, because you and I speak common sense. And I heard the report when there was a press conference there at the White House, and Cecilia Vega, who is a veteran ABC news lady and a reporter, she implied that to use the Wuhan, China, as the source of the COVID-19 was racist. I about fell out of my chair. Cecilia Vega should not only be ashamed, somebody ought to fire her for incompetence to make this ridiculous claim that we're racist because we state the facts. And again, you have all of this unbelievable hype going on. And it's exasperating beyond all understanding to watch this and to see it continue. And so, yeah, a spade is a spade. A fact is a fact. It's not racist. It's just simply a fact. And Cecilia Vega, man, somebody should slap her up with some journalistic reality. And she ought to be tossed out of that press corps, because she's an incompetent journalist.
You know, what's it like? I know what the general feeling and mood is here in southern Idaho, and I've talked to so many business owners and so many people involved with working with the public every day. But what's the general attitude where you are? I mean, are you calling people, talking to people? Are you visiting with people? Give us what's it like in Golden, Colorado area?
Well, the Golden, Colorado area, of course, is right near a big epicenter population of Denver, which has around 2.5 million. I'm 35 miles up into the mountains, so I'm pretty much away from all of it. But, you know, folks are going to natural grocers. They're going to King Soopers. They're going to Safeways. They're buying their groceries. You'll see a lot of masks going on. A lot of women. I guess the men don't wear the mask particularly. I haven't seen any men wearing masks. And neighbors here where we live, and people walk by the house every day because they walk their dogs. And there's bicyclists every day. It was very nice yesterday. Everybody's bicycling. It's pretty much normal. We do keep a 10-foot social distance because that's been drilled into us. And so life's going on. Obviously, downtown Denver is not, filled up with party goers and all the other things that go with that. So that has changed. But I'm keeping my wife and I, Sandy, are keeping ourselves from going to. We didn't go to church last Sunday, but our church had a video church service, so we will listen to the sermon, and it was a very touching sermon. Josh Reeves was pretty incredible, but also Michelle Odrana, who's the other preacher at our church, she was very, very articulate. And the key is, for me, we're going to move through this. We're going to be intelligent about it. We are going to take all the precautions. Some of the good things that are happening right now, there are 2 drugs out there that have actually neutralized several other flu viruses in the past, and I think they're coming online. So I personally think at some very quick point in time, there's going to be vaccines to combat this thing, and we're going to quell it here in the United States. And one of the things also, Zeb, you have to understand China. I've traveled through China. These people in China and in India and in Bangladesh, they have filthy, filthy, filthy food preparation. I mean, it's filthy. They skin cats. They take dogs and cats and they use torches and burn their fur off and offer them up. They eat rats. I mean, the Chinese, they do not understand personal hygiene. They don't understand public hygiene. They have any kind of rules or regulations for dining. Those areas in the world, the Asians, oh my gosh, that area of the world is just filthy. And I'm amazed that there's not more cholera and more other waterborne diseases that have just wiped out so much of China and India and Bangladesh just because of the filth and how they live their lives over there. Well, we don't have that over here. We have strict laws, food preparation, and cleanliness and so forth. So I think in the end we're going to handle this thing. And the key is just be intelligent and go about your life and then maintain that the cleanliness and the hygiene that we normally do in this country.
Yeah, but here we go again. Yeah, but all that I totally agree with you, my dear friend. But the but comes in where we're talking about the National Guard going to New York and to California and Washington State to build this, that, and the other. Wait a minute. Why shouldn't we be putting the guard down on our border with orders to carry those weapons that are loaded and secure our borders? How can you lock the front door and leave the back door wide open?
Again, that is the total insanity of politics and politicians. And I don't think there's an answer to that, because the answer should have arrived by, again, stopping the anchor baby phenomenon of the 14th Amendment. That should have been solved 20, 30 years ago. Certainly, the borders should have been secured 30 years ago. We were promised that they were going to be secured. We should be enforcing U.S. Code 8, Section 1324, but that's not being done. I don't know what these people at the top and their particular mindset thinks is going to happen at the end of all of this, but what's happening right now and what has happened to us as a country, as far as the sociological consequences of flooding this country with all these foreigners and the diseases that are now coming into our country, I don't know how they think they're all going to be immune to it, but in the end they're not going to be immune to it. And yet, just like Thelma and Louise, our Congress is putting the foot to the pedal and literally taking us over a cliff. And other than giving you the facts and giving every person, when I get on radio shows across the country, and I get on some pretty big national shows, I just bring the facts. And it's either we do something with those facts and we as a people force our Congress to close those borders and to stop the birthright citizenship, stop the diversity visas, stop the 1,000,005 illegal and illegal aliens coming in every year, or we're all going to be victims of this essentially Thelma and Louise over a cliff metaphor that I've experienced.
You know, I think that analogy was absolutely well stated, and I should be open and honest to the audience that you and I talked, I believe it was day before yesterday, about this same situation, and we were talking about the heartache and the hardship that's being suffered by everyone, economically, business owners and people that have their jobs curtailed, waitresses, cooks, everybody is suffering right now, and there's got to be a concentrated effort, and I underline those two words, of common sense, words that you used earlier in your conversation. But I don't see common sense applicable to the United States Congress and the Senate. Those people just seem to be so aloof and so absolutely brain dead when it comes to answering the call to take care of these problems.
Well, and you would be correct there. When you think about somebody like Charles Schumer, who's been in the Congress for 40 years, and then somebody like Nancy Pelosi, who I think the Dementia Society of America has voted her their number one patient. She should be president of the Dementia Society of America. We have people up there that literally don't have a brain. I mean, that has to do with somebody like Maxine Waters. You can certainly go with Ocasio-Cortez, airhead that she is. You can go right on down the line, Hudson down in Florida, Hank Johnson, John Lewis. We have got people that are in the Congress that don't really have enough common sense that God gave a goose, and yet they're the ones in the power positions. And so, again, I really don't have an answer to that, because politicians are a different kind of breed, and obviously the result of what they're doing is the result that we're facing right now and have been for the last 20 to 30 years, simply not doing the business of the people, not enforcing our laws, not enforcing the disease consequences of allowing this. Again, those people in Congress for the last 30 years have literally given us somewhere between 23 and 25 million illegal aliens in our country, and we are beginning to pay an ever greater and more severe price because of that.
Absolutely. You know, Frosty, I admire the work that you do. I always look forward and respect the time that you give us every Monday to come on the program with us and talk about these issues. But to you and Sandy, two people that we really love, my wife and I, we think your friendship is invaluable, and we just certainly hope and pray that all stays well in your house. God bless you, man, and we'll talk to you next Monday.
And thank you, Zeb.
God bless. Frosty Woldridge, Golden, Colorado. Thank you very much. Right now, it's past time, actually, to go to the weather forecast, so I got to hurry again and mention to you that our dear friends, and boy, they got their sleeves rolled up and their ties are loosened at their neck, and they're just busy all day, almost 24/7, making sure they get all the taxes done for tax time. That's right. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, and they've provided accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. Over 50 years. They are the professionals that can help you, your family, and your business with tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, retirement planning, all of this and so much more. And they've got offices in Burley and Rupert. All you need to do is pick up the phone call, make an appointment, stop in and see them. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, Burley and Rupert. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Getting ready to kick off another work week, and here's a look at your weather forecast today. We are expecting partly to mostly sunny skies, at least until the afternoon. Increasing clouds, a little bit of a breeze, and a 20% chance of rain showers. High of 57 tonight. That rain could possibly turn into snow showers in the overnight hours. Mostly cloudy skies with a low of 35. By tomorrow, 20% chance of afternoon showers. Partly sunny skies with a high of 50. Mostly cloudy for tomorrow night with a low right around 29 by Wednesday. Possibly rain and snow showers mixed. Gusts of wind as high as 18 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 48. Then by Thursday, 20% chance of rain and or snow. Partly sunny, high of 46. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zebeth Ranch.
Thank you very much, Gina. Appreciate it. Brought to you this hour by our friends at Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. As I said, accounting services, the professionals. You get a hold of them today and work with the best. And they can help people starting a business or maybe changing from a partnership or a corporation. Maybe you want to expand your business. They've got all the help and the answers to serve you. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. I want to throw this out this morning, and Wheels, by the way, I'm hearing a little bit of fuzz on the line. Do you hear it too, or is it not to be worried about?
To me, it's not to be worried about.
Okay.
But if we need a change at the top of the hour, we can.
All right. I want to just say this, that over the last couple of days, it has become very apparent to me and my lovely bride about people that really care. People that really worry and care about other people. I've had quite a few phone calls of some people that I haven't even talked to for literally years have called and said, oh, by the way, do you and your wife need anything? We're going to town and we can get this, that, and the other. I mean, we need to be much more caring and sharing at this time. And especially for the elderly, that it's hard enough to get out in the public and go shopping, etc., and now it's even worse. All I'm going to say is that if you know somebody that needs some help, please just give them a call on the telephone and say, hey, do you need anything? We're going to make a run to the grocery store. We'll try to pick this up, that up for you, whatever. You know, today, more so than perhaps any other time, we need to be caring about each other. And so if you know someone in your neighborhood or someone that maybe goes to your church or someone that you know that is elderly and they have a hard time getting out, just call. See if you can't help them. Want to remind you, too, that 7K Metals. Oh, I tell you what, I'm so glad that we were introduced to 7K Metals about 3-4 months ago. And through silver purchases, through 7K Metals, you can help yourself build your financial security and future. Absolutely. And it's a saving opportunity not only for you, but a valued treasure for your loved ones in the future. And I urge you to find out more about investing in silver purchases that are sent right to your home. All you need to do is call Lon Hardy at 312-8699 or Sharon Wilmot at 430-3259. Tell them I told you to call. These are really nice people affiliated with 7K Metals and Silver Purchases. Don't forget, you call them today. We are going to take a little break right now for the news. Unfortunate news over the weekend, too. Great country singer, star, actor, made famous by one of his songs, and then they turned it into movies called The Gambler. Kenny Rogers passed away this past weekend at 81 years of age. Right now, we're going to head to CBS News. We'll be back in about 7 minutes. Oh, good morning, and welcome back on this Monday, March 23rd. Zeb at the Ranch, and of course, we're brought to you by our major sponsor, our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations right now, having a great big spring tire sale. You stop in, see them today, along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And, of course, our friends at Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. And their number one objective is always protecting the health of their residents. It's the highest of priorities every single day at Greystone Crossing. And believe me, they are prepared and stocked up with food and supplies to keep all of their residents well fed and comfortable, and they just absolutely care. They care at this beautiful facility at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. I urge you to call and make appointment time in the near future to go by and see these facilities at 650-4979. That number again, 650-4979. Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go to the phone line, and I've been anxious to have this gentleman on my program to talk about his book, and I'll give you the title of the book before we go any further. It's Deliberate Discomfort. Love that title. How the United States Special Operations Forces overcome fear and dare to win by getting comfortable being uncomfortable. That's a mouthful. Good morning, Jason Van Camp. How are you?
Hey, thanks for having me on the show. I'm doing quite well, and my family's doing well. Appreciate you asking. I hope you're doing well also.
Well, Jason, we're living in some very troubled and difficult times right now. I don't recall in my life, I've gone through 2 pandemics. I was a victim of the polio pandemic in the early 50s, but this is really something right now that whether there's been some media hype to entertain and bolster some of the fear, or how real and how absolute dangerous it is, these are dangerous times right now, and your book comes into play, Deliberate Discomfort. Why did you write this book?
Well, I appreciate that. I totally agree with you. This is a major historical event, and I believe that society is going to change forever. I really do believe that. And I'll tell you that Deliberate Discomfort is so timely right now. It's a book needed more now than ever. And we're so proud of it. It's already a best-selling book. It's #1 on Amazon right now. We sold almost 17,000 copies in the last month since we launched it. And you can go to veteran-owned and operated Nine Line Apparel, where you can get the book and a limited edition T-shirt bundle, or you can go to Amazon as well. And so we wrote the book because we wanted to help people. We wanted to help people overcome their fears and understand that getting comfortable, being uncomfortable, it's a positive thing. It's a growth mindset. And I feel like as I've gone throughout my military career and retired from the Green Berets, I've always felt like that service mindset is something that's always brought a whole lot of joy and happiness to me personally. And so, I feel like I'm selfish, about being selfless. And that's why we wrote the book.
Okay, but give me, Jason, the general theme. I mean, here you are. You've already mentioned you're a decorated Green Beret. You attended and played football at West Point. And by the way, I've got to ask you, I don't know what years you played football there, but hopefully they were having better teams and better victories when you were there.
Yeah, well, that's well said. We've been pretty good the last few years, but last year was a rough season for us. I actually went to the Army-Navy game in Philly, and we got stomped, man. But we had beaten Navy a few times in a row, and when I was there, we beat Navy 8 times in a row. So better times, certainly, when I was there. But they're a much better team now than when I played, for sure.
Okay, but back to the original theme of the book. I mean, what do you hope the general public realizes, learns, and when they close the cover at the end of the book, what do you want them to take away from the book called Deliberate Discomfort?
This is exactly what I want them to take away. It's everybody has fear in their life, and when you make that courageous decision to deliberately, voluntarily, intentionally choose discomfort, you prove to yourself that you're no longer satisfied with the way things are in your life, and you're not going to tolerate it any longer. You're ready for change, for growth. You're ready to accept and embrace suffering because you want a better life for yourself and for your family or for your business. And I tell folks, okay, what's stopping you then? Is it laziness? And most times it's fear. And I tell them that fear will kill their dreams, more often than failure ever will. And then I ask them, what are they afraid of? And really what it comes down to is fear of the unknown. And this book helps people to understand what that unknown is, to know it, and to overcome it. And that's what we're so excited about. When people listen to us and they take this training, it makes me so happy because I know it to be true. And it's just absolutely phenomenal to help people become a better version of themselves.
Jason, when you look at the coronavirus and the enormity of what the problem looks like it may become here in this country, and for that matter across the world, how do you tell people to stymie, stop, or belay their fears over something they don't know that much about?
Right. that's exactly what we're talking about. It's a great question. It's an unknown right now. And I have a lot of experience dealing with something like this in the military where, the special forces, we were sent overseas to fight, in combat and fight an enemy. And a lot of times the enemy was an insurgent type of group, very similar to the coronavirus. We don't know much about it. We don't know when it's going to attack. We have to be on guard 24/7. We have to be vigilant. Listen, there are more than 300,000 cases of the coronavirus right now globally. As of Saturday, it's an increase of almost 30,000. In the military, we know that 124 service members and their families and civilian workers have contracted the disease. So not a whole lot. So I think we're pretty good there. Everybody's promoting social distancing, and they're pretty agile with everything going on. And so what I would say to people right now is, hunker down and start strategizing. Start thinking about all the things you wanted to do with your life, you wanted to be and overcome challenges that you have. If you're sitting at home, binge watching Netflix, that's the wrong answer. If you're sitting at home playing video games, that's the wrong answer, because this is an opportunity. This is a golden opportunity for you to be a better person. And I know that the gyms are closed, but you can still go out and run, and you can work out at home. You can still go on that diet you've always wanted to go on. This is an unbelievable opportunity, and it's only through deliberate discomfort that we find this opportunity. That's why it's so relevant right now.
Jason, let me ask you this, and in the form of a statement, actually, instead of a question. I'm going to say this, and I want you to jump all over me if you think I'm wrong. I will say that, and I'm an old man, I'm 72 years old, but I will say in the last 25 years that our society in general has become wussied. They become wussified. They become soft. They become staying at home and watching the computer or playing video games, that type of thing. We're not the tough nation that we used to be in general. Would you agree or disagree?
I agree 100% with that. And this is what I think. There's a gap in society. We live in a world where we are embracing indignation and victimhood. We're teaching our kids, our children, to be offended at everything. We call it the safe space generation, but that's not how we grow and learn and improve. We grow by stepping out of our safe spaces, facing our fears, having those conversations, starting that dialogue, and controlling what we can control. And the only thing we really can control is ourselves, not other people. And I had a really passionate discussion with one of the scientists on my team, Petra Kowalski, and she's in the LGBTQ community. And I talked to her about how we need to eliminate safe spaces. And she said, "No, Jason, you got it wrong. I can tell you firsthand, when I've been at universities, safe spaces are a good thing. They help people." And we had a really good discussion about this. And I came to the conclusion that we shouldn't try to eliminate safe spaces. Safe spaces are a good thing. They're a fortress of solitude. They're a comfort zone. Here's the thing, though. You need to get out of that safe space, that comfort zone, as quickly as you possibly can. And that's the measure of success. Most of us need a time to set aside and to recharge our batteries and to just, take a deep breath. And that's great. Everybody needs it. And you can say that that's a safe space. I do. When you're at the gym and you do a set of 10 repetitions on the bench press, you know what I mean? You don't just jump off that exercise and go to another one immediately. You take, a minute or two to relax and recover, and then you can hit it again. But the people that are at the gym that after they do a set and they sit down and they check their cell phones for 10, 20 minutes, well, then that's a kind of a safe space, and you're not growing, you're not improving, And so that's what I believe is, as you expand your comfort zone, you have to continue to push that limit. You have to push that ceiling and as quickly as you possibly can. No matter how many times you fall down, get right back up. And that's what we're promoting at Mission 60 at my company. And that's what I truly believe in.
Absolutely. I would say this, and again, you can take arbitration with what I say, that safe spaces or playing with fuzzy wuzzies in the closet because you live in fear are nothing more than a crutch of not overcoming a problem.
Yeah, you're spot on. It is a crutch. It's for people that are too afraid to confront those challenges and to overcome them. And for whatever reason, they've been empowered to not do that. They feel comfortable. They feel safe. And we should always strive to feel comfortable and safe. But if we want to learn and grow, we've got to push those boundaries, And for whatever reason, I don't know how we've kind of turned into this in society, but we've kind of become soft, and we've allowed our children and people in general to not want to be motivated or inspired to do more and to be more. And that's a terrible, terrible thing.
I totally agree with everything you're saying, and talking about the younger generation, and by the way, my engineer Wheels, when Mr. Van Camp is speaking, turn him up just a little bit, please, if you would. But talking about the younger generation, talking about the kids at home, and, oh, Johnny, we don't want you to do this because you might get hurt, or Susie, we don't want you to play that. In the old days, my day, I think the kids were tougher and they had a better outlook on life, and I think they tried harder than they do in general today because mom and dad weren't looming over them like helicopter parents. How would you agree with that or disagree?
I agree with you, but I will give the parents nowadays, and I'm one of them, the benefit of the doubt by saying this. We have a lot more information at our disposal than we did, back in those days. I walked to school, a mile and a half every day, elementary school, and I had no fear of that. My parents, had me out the door by 8 a.m., and I was just walking to school, and I walked back from school. But now, would I allow my kids to do that? No, I would not, because now we have the information at our fingertips about the number of pedophiles and child molesters and people that get kidnapped, and, that scares the hell out of me. You know what I mean? And, as a parent, I'm not going to put my child in that situation, right? And I get that. And so those type of things, when you get that information and more information like that, you're like, well, I'm going to have to make a decision to protect my children, and that's one of the things that you need to do, But back in those days, I didn't know, and my parents didn't know what they didn't know, And so I feel like, for an example, walking home and back to school every day, that made me tougher. You were able to meet your friends, and you learned a lot socially, and, things happen on the way to school, and you meet other people, and then, sometimes you get into fights, and sometimes whatever. Those are all things that you learn growing up, and it helps you become the person that you are, and you grow, and you improve, and you become stronger. And nowadays, there's just some things that are kind of preventing us as parents to kind of embrace the old ways in a way.
Mm-hmm. As a Green Beret and your training, and I mean you have been in the pits, literally, to the point where you've had to become tough, and that's why I absolutely I celebrate what you've done, and I respect what you are and who you are. But is the military today as tough as it should be on people getting involved in the military?
Yes. My answer is yes. And I'll tell you this. When you go through elite training courses like Ranger School or the Special Forces Selection and Qualification course, it's all voluntary. It's a volunteer type of course. So you have to volunteer to go to it, right? And when you get there, most of the time, the only way that you'll fail is if you self-select your way out. If you identify yourself and say, you know what, I can't do this, this is too hard, I'm out of here. And that's the perfect way to select people. You make it as hard as you possibly can, so people quit on their own accord, out of their own volition. And, the way I look at it is basic training is very difficult, but if I were to go back to basic training now, having gone through everything I've gone through, it would be a piece of cake, And as you kind of gain those calluses, as you grow and improve and push your comfort zone, as you move through the courses and you gain experience, you realize that you want to see where your limits are. You want to continue to push yourself. You want to see how far you can go, until your body breaks or until you have to say, I quit, And that's kind of why I went through the courses that I did. I wanted to see who I really was. And I feel like the courses today are just as hard as any courses were in history. But, of course, you got old-timers, myself included, that says, we were the last tough class. We were the last tough Ranger class. We were the last tough qualification class, sort of thing. So I can understand the I can understand the mentality there.
Yeah, but wouldn't you agree, Jason? And with deliberate discomfort, it has to start someplace in our education system, our elementary schools, even our kindergartners, on the way up to high school and the university system. Don't we have to start a more tough mental aspect in all phases of education?
We do. We absolutely do. And now that the Boy Scouts are, having the troubles that they're having right now, and that kind of being disbanded. And I was an Eagle Scout growing up, and I learned a lot about surviving and thriving and being a man through those experiences. And now we're looking at the coronavirus, and like I said earlier, I think society is going to change forever because of this. And I feel like one of the industries, one area that's really going to change is schooling. I think a lot of parents are going to have their kids stay home and do a lot more homeschooling from now on, and what does that look like? I feel like there should be classes either online or in person at elementary school, starting very, very young and then going through, junior high and high school, about how these children can take deliberate discomfort, take this mindset and apply it to their lives. And we can have workshops and actionable exercises. I think that would just be absolutely critical for children to learn. I wish I learned about this. I wish there was somebody there that was teaching me life skills as I was going through my education when I was younger. It doesn't have to start when you're in college or on your own. It could really and should really start when you're young.
I have got to get a copy of this book. I've got to read it and then hopefully have you back on the program. Jason Van Camp with the book called Deliberate Discomfort. Jason, where and how many sources are selling this book? Where can people find it?
Oh, thanks again. I appreciate it. I'd send you a book right now, but all the stuff is closed. So you guys, when everything opens up again, I'll send you a signed copy. But anybody who's interested, you can go to Amazon right now and buy a copy, or I prefer it if you guys want to, veteran-owned and operated 9-Line Apparel, and you can get the T-shirt, a limited edition T-shirt with Deliberate Discomfort, with the book. And so it's a bundle package. It's $32. It's fantastic. And you guys would love it. And so, and you can also go anywhere books are sold, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Books and Books, wherever books are sold, you can get Deliberate Discomfort there as well.
I want to thank you not only for your service to our great country, but also you're writing this book called Deliberate Discomfort. Jason Van Camp. God bless you, man. Please come back in the future.
Oh, I will. Thank you so much. Great job. Hope you're safe and your audience members are doing well also.
Thank you, sir. Have a wonderful day, and God bless you. Thank you. Jason Van Camp with a book called Deliberate Discomfort on the program for today. Deanne's just handing me a note, and thank you very much. I appreciate that. Want to remind you, too, about our friends over at Patterson's Electronics. I think it's Thursday that we're going to be visiting with Curtis on the program for our business salute, and I want to urge you to stop in there. They've got so much at the store, all your electronic needs. I mean, I need to go in there and just sit there and be a sponge and absorb all the education they can give me about the various electronic products that they have. I mean, all the surveillance cameras, all the home theater systems, all the car stereos and speakers, audio systems, complete sound systems, televisions. Holy cow, they've got it all. And they're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. And I urge you to stop into Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. Number to call, 678-6997. Calls are, well, I got time for one call. One quick call. Give me a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. My good buddy Randy Golay, if you're listening out there, give me a call after the program, if you would. I'd love to visit with you for a few minutes if you're listening and heard that note. And I've got time for one quick phone call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Tomorrow on the program, one of my very favorite people. At 10:30 tomorrow morning, we're going to be having Dr. Gerard Lamero. And this man has gone through so many really life-threatening health issues over the last 6, 7, 8 months. And now with the coronavirus scare and all that's going on in politics leading up to the November elections, I'm going to try to make him basically a bi-weekly guest on this show. So all of his political predictions basically came through in 2016. He's been spot on talking about what's going on with the various parties and their problems. And he's going to be on tomorrow morning at 10:30, so don't miss that. And before that, of course, you know, we have our dear friend Dr. History at 10:06 tomorrow morning, and others that'll be on the air for our Tuesday edition of Zeb at the Ranch. So once again, I want to make a note that if you know somebody that is basically closed in their house and not going anywhere because of the virus fears, etc., and you know that maybe you're going to the grocery store and you could certainly pick up a few extra items for them, give them a call and find out how you can help them. We've had some very, very nice people do the same gesture to us, and I urge you to follow suit if you would, please. Right now, we're going to send it back over to Old Wheels over at the radio station, and we'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, thank you. And don't forget Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. They're continuing their big anniversary sale this week, up to 4 years interest-free on approved credit. Oh, my goodness sakes, listen to this. 40 to 50% off on all furniture and mattresses. What? Yes, you can really beautify and comfortize your home and save money. Don't forget, too, they've got recliners starting at just $249. They've got love seats starting at just $299. Oh, my goodness, you better go in and check it out today. And all the mattresses, oh, my goodness, on sale. Check it out today. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Continuing their big anniversary sale through this week at 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Well, we are very fortunate, and I've said this many, many times, it's become redundant, that we are very blessed in the state of Idaho to have congressmen and senators that really care about the state, care about their constituents, and they're accessible and answer a lot of questions. And I mean that. And this next gentleman is one of those that I highly respect, and that's Representative Fred Wood. Good morning, Fred. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm doing well, and you?
Hanging in there just like the cat holding onto the rope. I've got the knot, and I'm not going to let go.
That's good. Make sure your hand is above the knot.
Amen. Fred, there is so much I want to talk about this morning, and we're going to have to really go right along to get it in the 20 minutes that we have. But overall, tell me, the session for this year, the legislative session, good, bad, or ugly, what happened?
Well, there was some good parts and some bad parts and some ugly parts, I guess. It was contentious, and it was tortuous. The number one issue before the legislature, I think, right from the beginning, was property tax. Not so much from our perspective down here, because I think our local government officials have done very well if you look at the rise in property taxes over time. But these fast-growing counties, Zeb, are being hard hit. And the problem turned out to be that everybody tried to fix Cassia and Minidoka counties instead of fixing Kootenai County and Ada County and Kenyon County and Bonneville County, which is what they needed to fix. And so in the final analysis, there was a lot of proposals, not much got done other than maybe just an interim committee to study the problem.
Mm-hmm.
That, to be perfectly honest with you. That was probably the ugly part. The bad part is that we still never got around to figuring out how the counties are going to participate into Medicaid. That was the bad part. And the good part is that we did keep the budget pretty solid, and I think as low as we could possibly keep it, particularly towards the end when we knew we were going into what's probably going to be some kind of a recession, hopefully short. So that's the real 100,000-foot level, and I'll stop there because I know you got a bunch of questions you want to get to.
Well, okay, I'm going to try to shotgun some of these as they come to mind, and I want to talk a little bit about the budget for education. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I think I read in a paper a couple of days ago that you approved a $1.8 billion budget. Is that correct, for education?
If I remember correctly, it's right close to that, yes, give or take.
And this should help not only education in general, but also possibly to attract new teachers to the state of Idaho?
I believe so, yes.
Is there any...
Talking education, you're kind of out of my wheelhouse a little bit, Zeb. So I'm just using round figures here and was on the periphery of all of those conversations.
Okay.
But yes, that was principally or one of the big things that the governor pushed for, was to try to inject more money in to get more qualified teachers.
Okay. Another issue that it just doesn't seem to want to go away. It's an itch that we can't seem to scratch, and that's the people that are demanding and making all kinds of accusations about taking the dams out to save the salmon. I'd like you to tell me your thoughts on this issue that just will not fade.
Well, I think that the reason that it won't fade is there's a small group of very vocal advocates that are looking at the world through one lens, and that's the lens of wanting more salmon, period. And those are the people who are out advocating that breaching those dams would be the best scenario. It's simply not for this reason. At this point in time, Zeb, the number one issue is not the dams. The number one issue by far is the ocean. We can measure the predictability of mortality in the river system down to the ocean. And it is predictable. And we have been making strides in decreasing that mortality. But all of the variability in the mortality of the life cycle of salmon now is in the ocean. That's where they spend 80% of their time. And the ocean conditions are terrible. The oceans are warming. And literally, the salmon are starving to death. You know, the salmon are coming in significantly underweight from historical averages. And you've got significant numbers of rivers that dump into the Pacific Rim, if you will, such as the Fraser River and others, that don't have any dams on them at all. And those populations are also, for lack of a better word, in the toilet. And those fish are coming back below weight, et cetera. So, you know, I don't think that's the answer at all. Well, and that's not even counting what that would do to the economy of the Pacific Northwest.
Absolutely.
I mean, the hydro system and the transportation system associated with that, the recreational system. And, you know, one of the other things that people really lose sight of, Seth, is those reservoirs provide a lot of recreation. They provide an abundance of fishing opportunities other than salmon. So, you know, those advocates are looking at one thing and one thing only, and that's about 2% of the entire puzzle, and the other 98% really gets crippled from that.
One thing that I don't think has been mentioned enough on the salmon issue, and I know that as a sportsman you're aware of it, and I would like a comment from you on it, and that's the predators at the mouth of these rivers emptying into the ocean. You know, nobody wants to talk about the seals. Nobody wants to talk about all the problems that are out there as predators and predation on the salmon. They automatically want to blame the dams. Am I wrong in my thinking, or am I right?
No, they're doing that. You know, what's really interesting, the last meeting that we had, they have been documenting pinniped populations. A pinniped is seals and sea lions. And they've been documenting those populations. And those populations started off at the mouth of the Columbia River up to Bonneville Dam at less than, it was just a couple of hundred, starting in the 70s. Zeb, it's up to 15,000 now, okay? And we know now that some Chinook salmon populations in particular, because the pinnipeds like Chinook salmon better than any other salmon, just like humans do. I mean, they're pretty tasty, you know? So the fact is that population is increasing annually, and they're consuming now between the Columbia River Bar, which is where it turns into the ocean, up to Bonneville Dam, they're losing 40% of the adult return population of Chinook salmon just in that stretch of the river. And, you know, when you lose a single adult, you're losing all the eggs, you're losing everything else. So that's the most precarious time to take away from your population, is when they're getting ready to spawn, and that's exactly what's happening. Secondly, if you look at the San Juan Islands, the San Juan Islands alone are at carrying capacity for harbor seals. They have 350,000 harbor seals in the San Juan Islands. You can see them everywhere. You can't have that kind of a predator load and expect a prey population to survive very well. It's just not in the cards, Zeb.
One other issue I want to mention, and on this program I'm very blunt, and if somebody's feelings are hurt, that's not going to be a problem. I'm going to be not politically correct and say it the way it is. It looks like Senator Jim Risch and also United States Representative Russ Fulcher agree with keeping the dams, but not Congressman Mike Simpson. He has made statements that basically, well, let's see what the future could be without the dams and where we might be able to go, etc. Why is Mike Simpson against the dams, in your opinion, and should he be so vocal about possibly removing the dams?
Well, first of all, I think you need to get Mike Simpson on the program and let him speak for himself.
I agree with that, but he won't show up.
Zeb, having said that, Mike Simpson is an appropriator, and we're spending a ton of money on that, and a good appropriator would say, okay, so is there a different way here to skin this cat and not spend so much money, et cetera? Now, I happen to believe that there's not, okay? But, you know, I've asked that question, too, and I've been told that that's not exactly what he said. And I wasn't there to listen to it. I haven't heard it. So I know you've invited him, and I'm not sure he's ever been on, et cetera. But if you could ever get him on to explain his own words and his own actions, I think that would be better, Zeb, than me trying to do that.
Absolutely, but he has been invited many times, and he's basically shunned us over another issue years ago. But again, I'm not going to back water on it. I'm going to say it like it is.
Yeah, well, if I run into him, I will tell him that he needs to get on your program.
Very well said. I complimented you, and I meant it, for your hard work and diligence on Bills 500 and 509, and I think I'll let you tell the public where the status is on those two bills right now.
Well, my understanding is that they have passed. I don't know what the governor's going to do. I can't tell you that. Haven't talked to him or anything. So at this point in time, That's they're up in the air. I can't tell you, Zeb. I don't know what the governor's going to do. He's got 10 days from when we signed he died to decide what to do. And I don't know that he's got about 7 bills, I think, that some people were concerned about. I didn't say everybody. I said some people. And so what he's going to do, I don't have any idea.
I wanted to take some time this morning because you are a medical doctor. You are one of the great representatives for our state of Idaho, and you're an honest, straightforward man. Where we are today, right now with the coronavirus, what they're telling us, what they think might happen, etc., there are so many variables and so many intangibles. Please, Fred, do you have anything that you can share with us this morning about this virus, about the dangers, etc.? What are your thoughts as a medical practitioner?
Okay, I talked to Dr. Christine Hahn at 7:10 this morning to get an update because I knew I was coming on to see what the latest was, and basically she just has the stats for Idaho. As of 7 o'clock this morning, we had 47 cases in Idaho. We have 21 in Blaine County, and there is community transmission in Blaine County. We have 13 cases now in Ada County, and everybody expects that within the next 2 days or 3 days at the most, they will prove community transmission in Ada County. Now, for all of you who are listening to this program, you know what that means? Don't go to Blaine County and don't go to Ada County unless it's absolutely necessary. Just plain don't go. Even if Grandma's down there, and you feel like you ought to see her, don't go. Because all you're going to do is bring it back to folks here in Cassia County or Twin Falls County or wherever you live. That's kind of harsh, but that's the number one thing. Secondly, Zeb, I think it's important for people to understand that we still have the flu going on in the community, okay? And so I asked Dr. Hahn, we have enough evidence now about this new virus. What is the single most important sign or symptom that you know that you may have COVID-19 as opposed to the flu or whatever? And she said the following. First of all, the number one thing is shortness of breath. Number 2 is a fever above 100.4, and 3 is a cough. The cough being the least specific because a lot of things produce a cough. But if you've got those 3 things and you have to have all 3, then you better presume that you have it, and you better start making arrangements to call your provider and get tested. Remember, please don't go to your provider unannounced. Please don't go to the emergency department unannounced. There are drive-through check-ins now. I'm not sure where the nearest one here is, but South Central District Health can tell you that. They can tell you where to go to be tested. Your provider can also help with that, your doctor's office. But please, everybody, remember to call ahead. Don't show up unannounced and infect everybody.
Fred, that being said,
we've got to keep the healthcare delivery system healthy so that they can take care of you when you do get sick.
Absolutely. Fred, that being said, if you come down with the symptoms and you say to call medical providers and get tested, what then? I've had so many people call the program and after the show that if they do test positive, I mean, some people have said, oh my goodness, and they're almost in tears saying, is it a death sentence? I mean, what can be done after they're tested? What are the procedures for getting care and hopefully a cure for their problem?
Okay, so this is what they will do. They will assess you. If you test positive, they're going to test you. They'll check your oxygen saturation, your temperature, etc. Now, by far the majority of people will simply be treated at home. There's no real medication at this point in time to take. It's just supportive care, plenty of fluids, good diet, isolate yourself at home, Isolate yourself to some extent from the rest of the family. Excellent hand washing, all of that kind of stuff. Okay? Again, 90% of these people are being able to be treated at home with no problem. And after a couple of weeks, the symptoms subside, just like a tough case of flu, and you'll be fine. For those that are developing some significant viral pneumonia, and you've got significant shortness of breath, and your oxygen levels start going down, then you're going to need to be admitted to the hospital. But that's not the common thing that's going to happen. That's the uncommon thing that's going to happen.
Let me ask you, Fred, quickly.
There's a reason to panic at all.
Yeah.
Okay? Although it is a very serious issue. And prevention, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure here, because we really don't have a cure.
Absolutely.
Now, there are antiviral medications that are in the works right now. Ebola virus is a coronavirus, and apparently they're testing to see whether the medications that they have for Ebola virus are going to work on this virus.
Mm-hmm.
They are actually testing a vaccine right now. I don't know how, when they would be able to ramp up production of that. Probably be close to a year before they could do that. But at least that would certainly help for the next season when it comes along.
Absolutely.
So, just caution, use common sense, stay at home, don't go to town if you don't need to, self-isolate, just be cognizant of what's going on.
Fred, I've only got 2 minutes left. We're going to take one call. Caller, I'm going to ask you to please be quick. Go ahead, please. You're on the air.
In respect to what Mr. Wood has said, be sure and wash the toilet paper before you use it. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much. Fred, last thought here on this morning, and I want to urge everybody, if they know that they maybe have those symptoms, don't go to the doctor. Call first. Call the medical professionals, call the hospitals, etc., but don't just go into the hospital, correct?
That is so important, Zeb, because if you look at what's happened to Italy, a bunch of the docs over there have died. Well, who's going to take care of you?
Yeah.
It's so important to make sure that you don't go anywhere unannounced. If you really suddenly become profoundly ill, when you call, make sure that everybody understands that they're coming to a COVID-19 case. Even the EMS can be somewhat prepared if, in fact, they know what they're walking into.
Yep, absolutely.
So make sure that everybody understands and call ahead and make arrangements.
Okay, I'm going to take one more call, but caller, if it's a facetious remark, I don't want it. Just go ahead, caller, please. You're on the air.
Deb, one thing I was thinking about is the state implementing any burn restrictions with this virus being carried possibly on particles. And I'll leave it at that, and I'll listen to the answer.
Good question, Fred. Did you hear that, please, in regard to burning and the particles carried?
I've not heard anything about that. The particles are fairly large, as I understand it, and what everybody's recommending is as long as you are 6 feet away or so, the risk of transmission is significantly small, and by the time you get to 10 feet, I'm not talking about a 40-mile-an-hour wind and various things like that. This virus is also fairly temperature sensitive. So it's not going to survive too long, particularly in anything where there's any kind of warmth at all or heat at all. So I don't think that risk is too much, but I've not heard anything about any kind of a burn ban or anything like that.
All right. Representative Fred Wood, a dear friend of this program and very, very interesting and informative to all of his constituents. Thank you, Fred. God bless you, man, for coming on the program. Thanks.
See you next week, Zeb. God bless you.
I'll look forward to it. Representative Fred Wood, and really trust that man. Straight shooter on all the issues that we talk about. Appreciate it. I am late. Got to go to the weather forecast. Scarrows Meats. Don Scarrow and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. Oh, yes. Check out their website, scarrowsmeats.com. All the delicious meats for you, your family, for every occasion. Scarrows Meats in Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Getting ready to kick off another work week, and here's a look at your weather forecast today. We are expecting partly to mostly sunny skies, at least until the afternoon. Increasing clouds, a little bit of a breeze, and a 20% chance of rain showers. High of 57. Tonight, that rain could possibly turn into snow showers in the overnight hours. Mostly cloudy skies with a low of 35. By tomorrow, 20% chance of afternoon showers. Partly sunny skies with a high of 50. Mostly cloudy for tomorrow night with a low right around 29 by Wednesday. Possibly rain and snow showers mixed. Gusts of wind as high as 18 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 48. Then by Thursday, 20% chance of rain and or snow. Partly sunny, high of 46. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb Durant.
Thank you, Gina, and brought to you by Don Scarrow and his excellent staff over at Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. I mean, all the marinated pork ribs, the tri-tips, all the sausages and the bacons, it's all there. It's all delicious. As a matter of fact, they're changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time at Scarrow's Meats. Holy cow, a big thank you and shout out goes to our major sponsor, and they really care. They really care about your safety and security, and they're making sure that every one of their facilities absolutely is ready for you and your family to wait there and get your tires, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, your brake service, everything at all 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. I urge you to stop in. They've got that big spring tire sale going on right now at all 7 locations, all the sizes, all the tread designs for all your vehicles. And please don't forget to, for your safe driving, the best of brake service with highly trained professionals, front end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. It's all there with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike in Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. Yep. The best, not brag, that's a fact. With the big spring tire sale, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Got to run. We're done for today, but we'll be back here tomorrow morning at 8:06. And we urge you to, of course, call in, be a part of the program where we always say at the end of the show the way things were, the way things ought to be. And, of course, the 4 words that mean the most: in God we trust. See you tomorrow morning at 8:06.